Previously on Chilling.
I'm in a point in my life where like you get what you give me. Like if you give me a nasty face, you're gonna get a nasty face. Our hearts love is in the air. Listen. I know defeat is hard to bear when the queen is on a roll and you're sitting in a chair or moving super hella fast. Can you keep up? In the kitchen still stirring when you heat up. Hook up on a swag when you hook up. Yeah, daydreaming, berry smell. Meaning you gotta tell me to stop though, cause I can go all the whole night.
How did you feel like?
Not really in a sense, because I said when I just started out, I was very excited about awards. Now, I'm like, I feel like I've won it all, you know what I mean? Now I have to prove a point that I'm actually Ugandan. I'm like, what are you talking about? Is it because I speak very good English now you're trying to I never want to be an artist who's going to forever be trying to prove a point to people that, oh, I can't sing. No, they tell you can't sing, but then you're always saying, I can't sing. You people, I am really good to know.
Blowing trumpets, yeah.
Chilling.
Hello, welcome to a special edition of Chilling with DNZ. Now, as usual, my name is Drogo. It is a special edition simply because we have a man who was the key to the city. On 20th May 2011, he was sworn in as the Lord Mayor, hence making him a noble man. Now, as you can clearly see, we're in his garden right here in the great city, Kampala. Don't you touch that remote control as we return shortly.
Chilling.
Now, my heart is literally on the floor to know that you're still watching Chilling with DNZ. Now, before we go any further, there are a couple of people I want to thank. Mr. Isaac Ntono, our camera person. Henry Henry, our camera person, editor, producer, and all that. I call him Mr. Magic Fingers because everything he touches on turns into gold. I also want to thank my stylist, who is Kwanzi Classic, plus Urban Styles. Now, let's get back to business. My guest today is a man that I can only use a few words to describe. This man, he's a lawyer by profession, a politician. He also served for the Parliamentary and Legal Affairs Committee. He was a shadow minister for the Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Sit back, folks, and enjoy the Lord Mayor, Mr. Arias Lukwago. You're actually a good lawyer. Which one transcends the other? The lawyer thing or the politics thing?
That's a difficult one because I try to juggle both and see how I can strike a balance. But it's not that easy, only that I have a passion for that profession.
Okay.
However much I go deep into politics, I'll never forget my profession. That's why occasionally you see me making a show, making appearances in courts of law, and time and again, I indulge in a lot of legal interpretation because that is my profession.
Lord Mayor, I'm not trying to blow up smoke into your skirt, but I think you've done a great job with the city. Mostly lately, like I've seen roads are coming up, the trenches and everything. Well done.
Well, I think it should be, credit should go to the entire team.
Yes.
Because we're trying to develop the concept of a shared vision, whereby you do it as a team. You have a big team of elected leaders. For example, you have over 250 elected leaders in Kampala, including municipal, authority councillors, you have division urban council councillors, you have mayors. Of course, you have those who are appointed by the central government, the ministers, the executive director, the RCCs. So each one of us has made a contribution to the transformation you are about to see. Of course, personally, you may heap a lot of praises on us, but personally, I'm not that impressed with what we have done so far. Modesty forbids. I can't blow our own trumpet that we have done great.
You should blow your own trumpet because you've done great.
Not really, because there is a lot to be done. For example, you may talk about the infrastructure development. We have a network of around 2,100 kilometers of roads in Kampala. But what is paved and tarmac is only 520. That is not even halfway. the journey, halfway the journey of paving the roads. So we still have a lot to be done, and it's
The sky's the limit.
yeah, sure.
Shilling.
Now, Lord Mayor, as you can see before us, we have a game of drafts. And I'm quite sure you can play this. So you're going to verse me a little bit as we indulge in our topic. Today, our topic of the day, we're going to talk about leadership skills. How can you hone leadership skills? So can we get started?
Well, it's been a while since I last played this. I don't know whether,
I know you're a little
because
bit
now
rusty.
it's a surprise to me.
Yes, I play the first move.
Oh my God. I'll block you here.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. I'll play that.
So you have to
Win. I also win. You have to be smart. You're the Lord Mayor.
I will get you.
Wow.
I'll get you.
That is really smart. I see. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a killer move I've made.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
Now you have given me so many
Two
options. Yes.
You can either chew here or oh, wait. I can't show you what to do.
But no, this one, because the other one I would not survive you.
Okay.
But here,
Yeah.
you want to manage.
So, Lord Mayor, have you ever heard of what they call a multiply effect when it comes to leadership skills or honing leadership skills? There's a quotation. So Abraham Lincoln said that you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, but I will spend 4 sharpening the axe and
Sure.
2 to cut it. Do you know what that means?
You mean planning, serious planning.
Exactly. Before.
Everything you do,
Yes.
you have to have a blueprint.
Yes.
And indeed, he is my role model.
He is.
Yeah, sure. I've read a lot of literature about him. Actually, there's some practice which he had, some peculiar qualities. He would put on a cape, not a cape as such, this kufia, what is it called? This something like a kufia.
I don't know what it's called.
Anyway, he had that cape.
Yeah.
And everything that would impress him for recording purposes would get a piece of paper, scribble down something, he would remove this. Then for purposes of keeping a record and to...
So you would write it on that?
Not on the cape. He would get a piece of paper, he removes the cape, throws it there and puts on the cape again.
Wow.
He kept on making collections.
Yeah.
So when he would write down his memos, when he's writing some piece, he would get his data, this collection from the cape, and that would form the basis of his writings. And it helped him so much to keep records, to always keep the events recorded properly and so on and so on, to gather information. So the point he was making about spending a lot of time on planning is so instructive.
As a leader?
As a leader, sure. And that's why in Kampala here, my central focus right now is about planning for a new Kampala, a modern capital city. Yes, we might have quick fixes made. We might do some transformation here and there. But what is critical right now, the biggest challenge we are facing is planning. And have insisted that was the law talks of the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, which should have the architects, engineers, surveyors, and that would sit down with the Lord Mayor to come up with a new blueprint for Kampala, so that we have areas that we clearly demarcate development zones. In terms of neighborhood planning, you have areas clearly gazetted for a corridor, gazetted for administration, commercial activity. You make it a commercial hub or central business district, then industrial area, residential area, and of course you have systematic development. Rather than having sprawl of these structures, and of course you plan for the infrastructure. We have talked about the road network. We have talked about the utility systems. How do you want to put in place those utility lines like electricity, telecommunication, and whatnot? All that has to be planned, and not only for this generation, even for posterity. Because in the future, this city will have robust modern transport system, mass public transport system. The trains, underground tubes, trams, flyovers and whatnot. How have we planned for all that? So that's what is running through my mind right now.
Shilling.
Before you became a Lord Mayor, have you ever, is this leadership thing, has it been claimed to your past? Have you ever been a leader before, maybe from school or any other? Where has that drive come from for being a leader?
Well, it dates way back during my school days, particularly high school, when I was at Kampala High.
You have a move to play. You still have to keep in play, yeah. Have 2 moves.
Yeah, 2 moves, but either way I don't survive. Either way, it's a win-win situation. Yeah. No, you can kill a double if I don't play it carefully. So here,
you're scared of doubles.
Doubles, but
there is no double.
But if I choose this one,
okay,
it will mean
choose this.
Then it will give me an option
for that.
Oh.
It's a win-win situation. I like the Lord Mayor. It's have you seen that? Wait.
That was my worry. Yeah, it is true.
Here? Maybe. I'm playing black. But
you're playing black. You cannot eat like this. Just, this is mine. Only that I'm not going to survive.
I eat this. Okay. I thought I had a double.
No. That's not true. That's not true.
Okay. So what other move are you making? Let me see.
Let me not rush into this, but this one I won't survive, I'll tell you.
So, Lord Mayor, from school.
Let me see how how this one will survive.
I will do this.
Okay. Oh, sure. Oh, you have made a move?
Yes,
yeah,
I made
okay.
a move.
Okay.
Even play. Come on.
This is what I've told you. This one will survive.
Okay. You're smart, though.
Now a free one. How do you give me? This game is over. Now you can imagine you have 4. I still have how many?
Guys,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Has a full team inside, and I only have 4 soldiers to strike. So, Mayor, from school you were a leader. Most interesting. Were you like a head boy, a head prefect?
No, not at that level. We had clubs. Economics club. I liked economics so much. And even at Kampala Student Center in HSC, I was heading 2 clubs.
Yes.
Economics and history.
What about at the Ivory Tower, Makerere?
Makerere University, yes, I was very, very political active.
Politics.
Well, even at the faculty of law, yes, I was the general secretary for Makerere Law Society. And we did some tremendous work for the student community at that level, working around trips in East Africa. And we started a regional body for law students across the entire region of East Africa. It's called FIELSA, Federation of East Africa Law Students Association. It is still in existence and it's still vibrant. Actually, it feeds into the East African integration because we say that that level. I'm one of the pioneers. We started it way back in 1993, 1994, when I was the Secretary General Makerere Law Society, and we would move around most of these universities. Parkland University in Nairobi, we would go to Dar es Salaam University and trying to integrate these law schools and create that bond between these sister universities. In terms of politics, yes, I was a member of actually, I'm one of the pioneers of UID. It started, the crowd of UID was Makerere University. Only that I didn't take any leadership position at that level for one reason or another. But I was there, and I was also a member of Nkobaza Mbogo. It's a Buganda outfit, a kind of, we used to call it a sectarian association.
Okay. So any advice for any young man that's trying to take up leadership in any levels, on any levels? Could be from school, could be from a district level or something.
Yeah, you have to begin. You can start in a small way, like many of us. Like I've told you, I've never been a head boy in any school. I've never served at that level. But I started in a small way, but I ended up playing a big role in the country. The most important and crucial thing one has to do is to have a passion for whatever you want to do. If you want to be a leader, be inspired by those who have succeeded in life. You have to have your own role models in life. Personally, there are people from whom I've drawn inspiration locally and internationally. So it's very, very important. You can't just start from nowhere. There must be some people who inspire you in life. Locally here, I was inspired by so many people, like Dr. Pokawanga Semogerere. At that time when I was still at the university, people like Dan Wadada Nabdere Delete. I had my own professors, Professor Juko, Dr. Lokonyanga, and many others. The way they would articulate issues of human rights, issues of fairness, equity, social justice, and whatnot, and of course, the general issues to do with the good governance. They really inspired me a lot. And of course, there are those who would get from the books of history, and of course, those who were there at that time, like Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, and people like Martin Luther King Jr., Walter Sisulu, and many others.
You're talking about civil rights sort of figures.
Yes,
about civil. Are you so that patriotic?
Basically, actually, that's my area where I have, I should say, excelled. And men have not really appreciated that. Not men have appreciated that. They treat it as if it's something which doesn't matter a lot. But the question of fighting for civil liberties is very, very important. And that's where actually it's from those people that I drew my inspiration and said, I should focus so much on civil liberties, even in the profession. Most of the cases I've handled, they are in that line. When you look at public interest litigation, the cases I've handled about civil liberties, about good governance, they're about constitutionalism, rule of law. It's basically that line, and I really enjoy it. However much I don't get returns in monetary terms, it's not well paying. That field is not well paying.
Is it even supposed to be paying at all? Because I think it's more like a voluntary kind of work.
Yeah, and there are too much of risks involved.
Shilling.
Being a father in your homestead, because I understand you're a father of 5.
Why do you want to give me a number?
Okay, I'm not limiting you or trying to dictate. But I mean, now you being a leader in your household, does leadership come so easy to you?
No, we are talking about two different institutions. The family institution is totally different from a national institution. Because with the family, you may not talk about the basic principles of human rights. There is no democracy, for example, in a family.
They say charity begins at home.
Yeah, I know that principle, but it may not translate into national leadership, national politics, per se. Because there is a principle, there is a saying that you spoil the road. No, you spare the road and you spoil the child. You spare the road, there is that adage. Spare the road and spoil the kid. So it's more or less like you have all the time to be a kagogo. We call it kagogo. You always have to whip the kids. You have to have a strict code of conduct at home.
The rules of engagement are totally different.
Exactly, totally different. And those rules are not written anyway. I mean, unlike in the case of national positions or leadership, the rules, the set of rules is well documented. You have the national constitution, the laws, and all these parliamentary acts and whatnot. But with administration of him, probably the attributes you'd be talking about in a home setting is where maybe you have the feelings, the intimate relationship you have with your family members, that can drive you to have some kind of humane feelings in the way you handle people in your other dockets, but I see totally different settings.
Yes.
Totally different settings, I should say.
Yeah, so one last thing. What is that last remark you have for any young leader outside there? Just one last remark. How should they be conscious?
I think they should be focused on what they want to be in life.
Yes.
And to be patient in pursuit of the same, and they should always be vigorous. They should be assertive, and they shouldn't be driven by material benefits, because that's killing this generation. People want to unjustly enrich themselves. Young men, yes, you are motivated by things like new models of cars, and of course the gadgets. These other gadgets.
Brain drains them.
Yes, you want the latest model of a smartphone and whatnot, when actually you're not doing well financially, and that drives them into illicit conduct, whereby they try to become fraudulent, do this and that, for purposes of sustaining that kind of lifestyle, which is very, very unfortunate. So I would implore youth of today to be focused. The leaders you see here today, however much we may disagree, they made a lot of sacrifice.
They did.
Sure. To the extent that some even went to the bush. I'm not talking about those who have jumped on the ship lately. The journey come lately. No, but there are those who
gave in their all.
Exactly. And said, now, this is a generational challenge. This is a cause, a good cause for us to fight for. So, youth of today should identify those particular causes they should champion. Yeah, like you may have, for example, you may have issues with the president today, like I do. Certainly, I have issues with him, but I give him credit for the decision he took at that time when he was still youth, and said, you know, the direction the country is taking, I think it's wrong. And it's my duty to chart a new way, or to chart a new path or a new trajectory for the nation.
Yes.
And he took up that challenge. He rose up to the occasion. So youth of today, fond of shunning serious responsibilities, running away from causes that would matter in life, and then they want to go into things which wouldn't help them much in future.
Chilling.
Such strong message from the Lord Mayor. Now you heard the Lord Mayor loud and clear. They say if you can change the universities, you can actually change the world. Do you know that?
Yeah, sure.
And try to be good leaders outside there, because this world or this country belongs to the young. Be organized, don't be corrupt, all right? And follow your motives every day, every time. So, Lord Mayor, we're going to proceed with the most interesting part. The second part, we're going to talk about your music fantasies. We're going to tease you a little bit, to shake you, to see if you're still in touch or intact. And then we're also going to have lots and lots of fun. We're going to be back. This has been Chilling with DNZ, and the first part ends right here. So, Lord Mayor, let us proceed with our game to see if I still stand alive.
But I'm almost there.
Okay.
You can see.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Maybe I just want you to win.
To win? So that the game ends?
Yeah, because I'm already embarrassed.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, that's it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're really strong, man. Both intelligence, you're strong, and then...
I'm flattered.
Yeah.
I'm flattered.
So, see you guys when we return with the second part.
Chilling. Extric on Chilling.
We're still with a man who is gigantic.
He says stand up and you have to jump up.
No, he would sing like this. Dear Museveni, we are happy to receive you here in Iguru. The education is poor.
Shiba Kanunji.
Yes, she's another good musician, a diva for that matter.
Diva. You even use the word diva.
Yeah, she is. One of us is crying, one of us is lying, and it was a true story. The back bush, then you have Michael Jackson down here, then Azaro here, then you are now the G. Elias and Jennifer Fenamo Dongo. You don't know that track?
I know that.